Hey everybody, good to see you. How was the house party last night? Was it good? Any one of you went? No one? Good. Now you're all fresh for this conversation about AI. Really excited. Um, I really want to make sure that this is not just some boring presentation. We can all have a chat. That's the most important thing for me, so you can actually walk away from this informed and get a chance to ask you a question so we can have a back and forth. The person who asks the best question will also get a quarter zip hoodie from us. So we'll let you know what the best question is. So give it your best shot. First question for you. Who has used any kind of AI so far? Raise your hand. Cool. Most of you. That's great. Have any of you used Handoff? Awesome. A few of you as well. AI is obviously an incredible technology. You all are here to understand how it works. But I don't think there's enough conversation about, well, how does it work for contractors? How does it work for construction? And what we've seen people do in terms of using AI and how their businesses benefit from this. And so I'll try to walk you guys through a couple of things that we have seen work so far. And then maybe just a quick background on myself. Why I may or may not be qualified to talk about this. I'll be straight up with you guys. I am not a builder myself. I am a machine learning engineer, a data scientist. I used to be a quant for a hedge fund in finance, but I landed a job working for a construction company, a real estate development company that wanted to automate their estimates with AI. And that was 8 years ago. And so when I joined that company, I started to look at all of the things that a lot of you guys might have looked at, like cost books, Craftsman, just trying to rely on my subs bids, and we would be off. And it actually was a commercial construction company, so sometimes we'd be off by millions of dollars. It was quite painful in either direction. We could not understand which direction it was. So as a data scientist working in the industry, I wanted to come up with the best possible data set, cost database for construction, and then be able to train machine learning models on that data set. And that's what we've done with Handoff. Just a quick aside on Handoff, we are about 10,000 active contractors doing about $8 billion in construction volume a year. And as I said, we've built our own proprietary database of these construction costs. Now, let's talk about what we're going to talk about here today. What are all the ways that we can optimize, we can speed up your process with AI? We'll talk about estimates, scopes of work, proposals. We'll talk about reporting, and we'll talk about a thing that it probably matters to all of you, which is making money and making sure that your margins stay very healthy and how you can use AI to improve those margins. But here's the thing. If at any point during this conversation you have a question and you want to dive into any one of these topics deeper, just raise your hand or yell it out, and we'll talk about that. I'll do a quick video. A lot of you guys are familiar with AI already, but this one will just kind of give you an idea for what it looks like in practice, what a contractor on site might do with an AI product. Let's make sure it works.
We're live at the remodeling arena with contractor Carter stepping up for a kitchen renovation proposal.
Bill, this kind of job takes hours of research, follow-up calls, and still no guarantee. Let's see how Carter handles the pro.
And Carter sizing up the play. Is that just a smartphone?
Just a phone? This is gonna be rough.
Hold on, Chuck. I've seen this before.
Seen what? A contractor showing up unprepared?
No, he's using Handoff. It's that AI assistant that handles the estimating legwork.
And not doing estimates. That's a bold play. Let's see if it pays off.
All right, Handoff. Full kitchen gut and turnkey remodel, 15 by 17 feet U-shaped layout. Install new shaker cabinets, white quartz counters, white oak hardwood floors, lights, fixtures, and repaint.
Chuck, look at that screen action. The AI is crunching numbers like a supercomputer.
Whoa, that's some serious speed on the calculations.
Hold up, the homeowner's entering the field with documentation.
That's a game changer. Those can take hours to review.
Update proposal with these drawings.
Did he just read those in seconds?
Okay, now I'm paying attention.
The proposal is away. But wait,
They've accepted on the spot.
from estimate to payment in under 5 minutes. Carter just hit a grand slam.
With Handoff as his AI assistant, he's not just playing the game, he's changing it entirely.
Restart Monday.
And there it is, the winning play. When you've got an unfair advantage.
You win every time.
There he goes. So that was our Super Bowl commercial. Just kidding. Don't have that budget yet. But I just wanted to show it to you guys so that at least I think maybe there's a better idea for what are some of the things you can even do with AI, right? What can it do to help your business in the day-to-day? One of the things that we find is really important, especially in remodeling, in construction, in residential construction, is the speed to bid, right? How many of you guys have done an estimate, maybe worked on it for a while, just to deliver it to a customer a few days later, maybe a week later, and not win that job? A couple, all right. For the rest of you, good work. Now, I think this is one of the biggest problems that we see people try to solve is how quick can I be, right? We live in a very sort of instant gratification, consumer-oriented society where people don't wait, right? People can get access to information instantly. They can go online, they can go on Amazon, they can buy whatever they want, right? And I think when we sell to homeowners, when we sell to families, when we sell to people who are used to this kind of purchasing process, they expect the same from us in residential construction as well. But the systems that we have so far are not well set up for this. So one of the main ways that we see folks use AI is just speeding everything up, right? So if this is an estimating process, how can I go ahead and issue that bid faster? If this is a plan analysis process, right? If this is any kind of online research, we see folks do that quite a lot. And this is something that we've seen produce tremendous amount of time saving. And I know I obviously represent Handoff, but I will tell you that you can do a lot of those things with tools like ChatGPT. There's a tool called Claude that has been getting very popular, right? And you can go ahead and you can upload a file and say, hey, can you read this file for me? Can you help me extract some information? Or you can go and ask it to help you to find materials that maybe are fitting a certain taste for a client, and it will do that online research for you. Now, one of the things that I think is just important for any business is margin, right? What I think traditionally in the industry folks expect is a markup of about 20%. But I guess I'm not gonna ask for a show of hand for this one, but it is hard to get to 20% profit margin at the end of the day, right? There's just stuff that comes up that maybe you did not anticipate, right? The things that just were not expected in that original budget, but also things that are not getting tracked along the way. And so something that AI does really well, and this is something that I think the technology has perfected, is how can I work with a lot of disparate pieces of information? And I don't know how you guys do your tracking when you work on a project. Maybe you have project management software, maybe you have Google Drive or Dropbox set up. But when files, these different sort of pieces of evidence, they live in those different places, they tend to not connect very well, right? And so maybe you have a proposal, maybe you have a scope of work, that you have done along the way. Maybe you started doing invoices, maybe you have some expenses. If those pieces of information don't connect well, you don't have the full project context. And when you don't have that full project context, you don't really know exactly, how much money you're going to make, right? That's one of the risks, right? You don't have all the detail, all the information. But as most of you, I presume, are business owners, we just don't have the time to keep that project context in our head, right? So maybe you have multiple jobs going on at once. Maybe you have a family that is trying to get you to come home for dinner once. And so AI is doing a really good job at that. So first thing we talked about is speeding everything up, right? So if it's something that you guys want to take, carry away from this, how can I take every single process in my business, whether that's estimating, whether that's client proposals, whether that's subcontractor bid invites. How can I generate these things faster? So that's number one, right? Speed to bid, that increases the likelihood of your success. The second one is how can I take all of that information and not forget stuff, right? That's the, I think, second thing that we see people really benefit when they use AI. And as I said, that can translate directly to your margins. So one of the other things that we see, I think a lot of folks do, is also repeatability. So when you are moving quickly, when you are, sending out your estimates, sending out your bids, you want to make sure that you carry something from one job to the next, right? If you learn about a piece of evidence, let's say you worked with a sub, and that sub ended up charging you more than you anticipated originally, right? Or maybe it was the opposite. Maybe you actually ended up getting an electrician that is, a lot, maybe more cost effective. So if you are doing something again, you've done an estimate, you're doing another estimate, you want to make sure that information carries through, right? If you have an Excel template, updating that template by yourself, by hand, takes a little bit of time. With AI, number 3 thing that I want to make sure that you guys are aware of, it allows you to create this repeatable, faster, more evidence-based process, right? And so when you are doing that next estimate, you can go and talk to ChatGPT. Handoff does a great job at that as well. You can just say, hey, on my last job, this was my electrician's rate. Make sure you incorporate that rate into my next proposal. Make sure you incorporate it into my next bid. So that step by step, you can build up your own, what we call knowledge base, right? Information about how you do your jobs. What are the costs that you tend to incur? What are the margins that you try to hit? So something to think about there is that aspect of repeatability as well. A big part of technology in general right now is how can we use all of these other gadgets that are available to us to capture more information in terms of like a rich data, well, as we call it, right? So if you guys are not, you guys using things like Magic Plan or some way to capture floor plans on site? Show of hands, just real quick. I'm curious who's doing that right now. So not, we don't have that. We have some of that available in our product, but I spoke with a few folks who use things like Matterport, right? If you want to do 3D scanning, very, very important. Speeds up a lot of your initial process of just taking measurements, understanding the site, especially if you're doing interior work, and then you can take that information and convert it to something else. So if you guys are not, have not tried one of those tools yet, highly recommend you do. And you can also take, let's say, if you produce something like a floor plan, right, off of something like Magic Plan, you can take that floor plan, and again, you can go and talk to AI to use that in some other way, in some other aspect of running the rest of that project. That could be a scope of work. That can be a summary for your team. And of course, that can be your estimate as well. With Handoff, we have something that we call walkthrough mode. It allows you to take out your camera, speak into the app, take photos. We capture all that information, create a detailed document of site notes, and you can use that document to then convert that to something else, like I said, an estimate or a change order, God forbid. So something like that you might have to deal with on the job site. Or it can be a daily log as well. So another thing that I wanted to mention here, right? We talked about a few aspects of how AI can be useful for you. Just keep in mind, like a lot of times people think about AI and they think it's just a chat interface. It's just like something I type, it gives me, like a poem about construction back. I don't know if you tried it. I tried it a few times. It does an okay job at it. But use other things that are at your disposal, like PDFs, blueprints, photos. Certain products support videos, right? Upload, do a video. Maybe you got a video from somebody in the field. Upload that, have it analyzed, right? Maybe you did a meeting with a homeowner. Maybe you hit record, right? And then you kind of capture a lot of that information. You don't want to be scribbling notes. have AI do the legwork for you and analyzing these files, right? And also find ways to capture these files more efficiently. And actually, I talked about the walkthrough mode a little bit, but that's kind of how it works in our app. You can just walk with your phone, capture what's going on site. That becomes a detailed document with all the photos that you can then go ahead and convert into something else. Scaling, let's talk about that. I'm sure a lot of you probably want to make more money, like we all do. But the blocker to that is, how do we not work? I think a lot of people say, how do we not work in our business? How do we work on our business, right? And a lot of times what prevents us from doing that is just the chaotic nature of a growing company. And so something that you should really keep in mind is, as you have like the things we talked about, as you're thinking about speeding up, right? As you're thinking about building up your database of information and connecting that with AI, as you are thinking about repeatability, right, and creating processes around AI that allow you to say, okay, we've worked on this job before, there's my template, here's how I want it done, let's get the additional information in, let's produce it again. And as you think about, how do I use all that is captured on the site from maybe your thoughts as you're driving from project to project, how do we combine that, and then we just create this repeatable loop, right? So every project becomes the same, it becomes predictable, it becomes profitable. This is what we see contractors do today when they think about scaling their businesses. They use that system, they use that information to create this pattern that allows them to do more projects, right? So if you did 500K this year, you're trying to do 2 million next year, you'll need that repeatability. And that's the nice thing about AI, right? That allows you to start to have that repeatability. Bigger companies, they tend to hire staff to do that, right? As you all know, hiring in construction is very difficult right now. I think I heard there's like 500,000 jobs that are like sort of missing right now that are not available, that we need to fill. And that is something that makes it hard to scale your staff. But also the staff that you have today, they can be more effective, right? Maybe you have a brilliant estimator. Maybe you have an amazing office assistant. They can do things that are so much more complicated and so much more productive if you give them tools to scale themselves, right? So you can go from 500K to 2 million in 1 year, right? By doing bigger projects, doing more projects, by creating these systems and these processes. People kind of call that an AI team. That's the term that I have heard thrown around, AI assistant. And I think that's how you guys should really think about it, right? When you are hiring, right? When you are bringing on board a new person, you're going to train them, you're going to give them the tools, and then you're going to give them requests on what you need them to get done, right? Think of it as just an assistant. Think of it as a team of assistants, all right? Available to you 24/7. They don't sleep, they don't take vacation. But I think as far as the mindset goes of how to frame what this is and how to use it, I would think of it as a team. And right now, these AI products are getting better and better to really operate like that. If in the past, it was like, hey, let's generate some text together. Now it's more about delegating work, actually accomplishing tasks. The way it works in Handoff actually is that in addition to all the things that I mentioned, the walkthroughs, the estimates, you can delegate work like creating an invoice. It's like, hey, this is, we've completed this portion of the job. I want to, invoice for plumbing. Let's go ahead and send that to my client, right? Also keeping track of your clients. Those tasks that usually require like a human to press a button, right now you can delegate that to AI as well. And that's kind of, I would say, that has really matured drastically, especially over the last 6 months. AI is moving so quickly, where you can really reliably delegate work to those AI, what they call them, agents as well. So I would say this is, all, I think very productive in terms of, how do we make you guys more effective? How do we reduce the bottlenecks? How do we allow you to scale your businesses faster? So, these are some of the facts, some of the experiences we had, some of the things we, talked about today as far as how you can use AI to optimize your business. I do want to stop here and just maybe have a bit of a conversation, because AI is just, this topic that nobody, I think, fully grasps completely, right? It changes every week. We hear a new buzzword every week. So if there's something that you guys want to learn specifically about AI, I would just kind of maybe take a pause here right now and hear from you as well. So if anybody has a question, go ahead.
As far as building things out and using AI as like an assistant type situation, how important, and do you have any parameters or tips on giving it those borders and keeping it in its lane instead of making it really vague, and but giving it specific prompts and keeping it within a specific frame of thinking? Is there a good way to do that?
Yeah, what do you what kind of AI have you tried? I'm curious how you used it.
ChatGPT.
Okay. Yeah, so ChatGPT is like every AI today, so there are customizations. So there's a couple of things I'll talk about. One is customization, second is guardrails, as far as making sure that it checks in with you before doing something stupid. So as far as the customizations go, what AI tools have today is what they call, starting to call memory, right? Or, in our world with Handoff, we call them presets and instructions. So first of all, you wanted to learn your preferences. ChatGPT, the way it speaks, like the nature of sort of the language that it uses can be quite annoying as well. I don't know if you picked up on it. It can be like very like, overly friendly, or, just say things that are kind of just, useless, or use too many emojis. So you can customize all of these AIs today to solve your purposes better, and start there. The second one is just the guardrails around actions. So if you want to delegate work to an AI, as a part of the customizations, you want to make sure that there's like a human in the loop process of validating what it's about to deliver to you. A lot of folks who get upset about AI, they kind of say like, oh, we just done something and I send it out and it was not the best work that it could have delivered. You still have to check things yourself. I would say don't blindly rely on it. The technology is moving fast. We'll probably be at a point where it does things just better than all of us. But at this point, as far as admin work goes, of course. But at this point, trust but verify. The tools that are offering this type of action-based automations, they tend to, like our product, if we create an invoice, we're going to show you the invoice before sending it, so you can go ahead and check it out, because you don't want to ask customer for an amount of money that maybe is the wrong one. It tends to be correct, but you always want to have this opportunity to validate, and don't miss out on it. Like don't just trust it blindly yet. I'll be totally honest with you guys, AI is still evolving. So I would say presets, customization, and then the guardrails around just verifying it, making sure you use a product that gives you that option. I think ChatGPT does it in some ways, but I don't know if it does it for these like more critical things. Like I actually don't think it is able to send invoices. But I think just make sure it's a tool that does validation for you.
If we have a set of plans, let's say we're building a house, can it do takeoffs and things like that? Like how would it Handoff work? Or AI, any AI?
Absolutely.
Because that is a pain to do by hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that is a really exciting thing about the technology as well. That I think it's evolving so rapidly. I think in the past, with things like a ChatGPT, you can just type, talk to it. Now it has like vision. It has ability to see things and analyze things. And so when it comes to specifically these use cases with construction, with estimating, I'm going to go out on a limb here. You guys can hold me accountable, but I think 2 years from now, nobody's going to be doing takeouts by hand. I think that area is going to be done, because I don't think anybody wants to sit down with a set of plans and a marker and then highlight a bunch of zones, right? That is just not something that I think anybody wants to do, unless you're very artistic. So I think that is going to go away. Now, how is that going to go away is another question. And the way that the machine learning models work is they train on things that are specific to what you're trying to teach them. So with takeoffs specifically, right? The technology is there to be able to do the takeoffs, but you want to find a provider, you want to find a model that is trained on this use case. Because if you go into ChatGPT, it'll probably give you a pretty good high-level result, but it's not trained on blueprints, it's not trained on plans, it's not trained on schedules, right? So it would not be able to do it to the degree of quality and accuracy that you might be looking for. And so just make sure that when you do the takeoffs, Also, take a look at the plans yourself first. Don't just give it to ChatGPT, or at least take a look at the plans later at some point. Make sure you know what's in the project. And the second is make sure it's a trained product for that use case. Go ahead.
So to his question, are you saying that Handoff can actually handle a drawing takeoff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Second question is, when you do give the pricing, right, is it based on national market average pricing or is it specific to your city?
Yeah, fantastic question. So I mentioned to you guys, we spent about 6.5 years just building this product, right? And it was before large language models, kind of like before a lot of the AI, what do you say, hype, right? It is today. We just got really upset about the inaccuracy of our estimates in my previous company and wanted to do something about it. And so we invested all this time and effort to doing this. So as far as the data goes, we actually, have deep relationships with our partners. Tremendous construction suppliers like Lowe's over here. So they are the ones who partner with us to provide accurate data on materials. If you have a pro account, right, with Lowe's or another supplier that we might work with, we also want to make sure that that information is captured to get your pricing. So that's from the materials. On the labor side, we surveyed the market. We've done thousands and thousands of projects, every foreseeable type of a construction assembly, we've seen it already. And we constantly surveyed the market in every single city, every single zip code and municipality to understand what is a going rate for contractors for every single trade. Now, that is something that will give you a very accurate baseline. If you want to know the market rates, Handoff is great for that. But something that you want to make sure you also do is, like I was saying before, the context matters. What you know also matters. And you can tell AI to use that information as well. So if you have rates of your own, you've done projects at a certain, even if it's a price per square foot or, rate per installation of a certain fixture, you can introduce that information into Handoff, upload a catalog, create a preset, and it will use your prices instead of the prices we see in the market, right? So you can be more competitive, you can be more accurate, you can hit your margins a lot more confidently.
So when you're sending invoices and such, can it talk with your QuickBooks and still use QuickBooks?
Totally, yeah. So and that's something that I think is cool about just AI and technology these days. Overall, is that there's you want to make sure you have a product that connects to a lot of other things that might be going on in your stack. I think a lot of you guys are here already use software, so you don't need to know why should I use software. Most of you probably use QuickBooks. QuickBooks is a great product for accounting. I would say continue using that for that. For things like invoices, syncing up with estimates, Handoff does a really good job. Every project is going to be synced bidirectionally with QuickBooks as well. We don't talk about them. They're a great product as well. I think just transparently speaking, just among ourselves here in this group, we are building an end-to-end construction management solution that is an AI-powered construction management solution because we want to save all of you a lot of time. I know folks at Buildertrend really well, fantastic company, great people there, but we don't have a formal integration with Buildertrend. Go ahead.
As a small business owner that's trying to streamline a lot of these things and eliminate the late nights and weekends and stuff, what do you recommend in a stack for efficiency in your daily operations?
Tell me about your business a little bit. I want to make sure I know what kind of
General contracting, carpentry, light construction, light commercial,
mm-hmm.
residential.
You self-perform as well, or just sub everything out?
Both.
Okay.
Depending on the size of the project.
And do you currently use anything?
Doing FreshBooks for invoicing
Okay.
and time management as well as mileage.
Okay.
Trying just job to job, just easier.
So that's okay. So that's kind of the main source of information. I think that's a good start. FreshBooks is very nice. I would recommend QuickBooks. Ultimately, your accountant will probably thank you for that. So I think QuickBooks is a great one to just keep all the financial data in when tax season comes around. You want to make sure you're prepped. As far as you want to have a construction management software. I think in today's world, it's non-negotiable. You don't want to keep things in spreadsheets. I would of course recommend us for construction management. It's an AI-powered product. You know, it can do all the things that you'd expect from a construction management product to do. So it's a full life cycle from your CRM to project management to financial management. Site capture is a good one. So we do quite a lot of that too. But I think if you want to take it to the next level, I hear a lot of people talk about Cubicasa and Matterport. I think those are pretty good tools. You can show up on site, you know, take your measurements. I think Cubicasa allows you to even convert what, you know, those sort of that site analysis into a CAD file or even a 3D model if you wanted to. And that just speeds up your time on site, makes you more accurate. I would say note-taking is a good one, right? We were just talking about, you know, taking, you know, if you were the client, you want to make sure you capture as many details as possible. There's all these apps out there that allow you to record a meeting and then transcribe it and summarize it. Of course, you know, let the other person know that you're going to do that. They're actually going to appreciate that you're recording because you'll get the detail capture. But, you know, just don't take manual notes. There is Fireflies is one app that I heard people use. There's Otter. They cost money, so it's additional expense. We have a meeting recording feature as well that we're launching, so you'll be able to benefit from that for free from Handoff. But I would say meeting recordings is a big one. Cloud storage, I think that's a really important one as well. You know, you want to make sure you have a system where you organize your folders. You know, maybe that's by project, you know, maybe it's by address, whatever system you decide to go with. But like keep everything in one place. The last thing you want to do if somebody asks you a question is going to go, you know, search through your email inbox, figure out what's going on. Just keep it all there. And the nice thing about any AI product, as I have mentioned, you know, whether that's ChatGPT or something else, you can now point them to that folder and say, hey, help me extract, maybe I have some question about it, help me extract it. So I would say those are, like I said, this is a really good stack just for getting started. I would say if you just wanted like one or two, I would say QuickBooks and a construction management platform, I think that gets you most of the way there already.
Yeah, so say somebody has like a software right now that is considering switching to you or just anything else. Do you guys have any type of way to like integrate historical data into your software?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So one of the things we'll do is the way we try to build our product is wanted to make it custom to you. We don't want you to just have some generic AI that doesn't understand your business. So when you do sign up with Handoff, one of the first things we'll do is we'll go through what are your past projects, any system of record files that we want to transfer over. We have a team that will sit down and they'll be like your AI trainer, right? They'll work with you to make sure that AI is trained for your use case, and then that information gets transferred over, and you don't have to start just fresh, completely rebuild something from scratch. So that's something that we also offer.
Can you pay subcontractors through Handoff?
Not yet, but that's definitely on our radar. How do you pay your subcontractors today?
Well, we just started using Beam.
Okay, yeah. That's great product. I actually know the founder of Beam, and that's something that we plan to add towards the end of the year as well.
How soon?
Towards the end of the year, yeah. If you have QuickBooks, you can also pay your subcontractors through QuickBooks.
Right.
But I hear you. The fully integrated system would be much better.
We got 5 different softwares.
We want to help you consolidate it.
Can you just speak to anything in regards to project scheduling?
Yeah. Anything specifically you want to learn?
Just your product, kind of like how you would suggest it can be used, how you guys have maybe set something.
Yeah, totally.
It can be used just from your point of view, how have you thought about that?
Great question. Yeah, and I also always want to start broad and just kind of like just in general, AI can do things like take an estimate and then turn it into a schedule. Now you want to make sure it's again fine-tuned to your business, the types of projects you work on. So we have a scheduling feature that is coming out that creates a Gantt chart and a full schedule off of an estimate or off of a scope of work. The thing that we wanted to optimize with that one specifically is maintenance, right? Because sure, you can have a beautiful Gantt chart schedule, right? Who's going to have the time to go and update it when things? I don't know how you guys feel about schedules. I don't think I've ever seen a construction project that was exactly on schedule for every single day. But who's going to go and update that stuff, right? So in our case, we want to make sure you can go and talk to AI and just say, hey, that schedule has now changed. My electrical is going to be moved by a week, and then we have to recalculate everything else. So you can then do those updates in autopilot, so you don't have to go and move things around yourself.
folks, unfortunately, we've run out of time for questions, but where can they talk to you here at the show?
Yeah, guys. So you can find us in the Startup Zone in this building right here. So come check it out. It's W5600 is the area. I'm going to just stick around here. So whatever questions you have, you can just ask me. So I'm company founder and CEO, so I'll be able to speak to that. But also our team is at the booth, so feel free to drop by. And we will determine the winner of the best question. Our head of marketing, Elizabeth, is here, so I'm going to ask her what she thought was the best question. Takeoff question from Danny. So, but we do have more sweaters. So if you want to, or other things that you can wear. So do stop by our booth, and we might do more giveaways as well.
Thank you. Thank you.